of March 3rd, 2025 at 5 p.m. And I believe it says we're all going to stand for the pledge. I can get up from my chair. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'd like to just make a couple announcements. This is a workshop, so we will try to be very loose up here. The other thing is there's a bunch of snacks behind us. Feel free to help yourself. And I think that's all I have to say. I'd like to again thank Amy, Melissa, Tom, and Mark for
Eric's in the hallway
working with us on the budget and answering a lot of the questions. I have to do public audience. See, I'm like out of my element up here, and that it's a off night. Do we have anyone here for public audience? Oh, goody. Joan? I don't know where we're doing the public audience.
Joan Code, 2655. Taxpayers of Simsbury have supported the budgets that have escalated over the years without questioning the contents of the expenditures and the choices that were added without any value added. In a rush to judgment, the Board of Education has renovated junior high without any thought of adding a sixth grade to the school and redistricting other schools for efficiencies. The ARPA funds in 2022-23 was to use the one-time expenditure and would be phased out. However, this is not true, since we are incorporating these expenditures into the operating budgets, increasing the budgets. How can we trust our elected and appointed officials when they lie when marketing the people's expenditures? The Simsbury taxpayers have been indoctrinated into believing the mantra, spend to save. This is voodoo economics and should be rejected. The ultimate control of the budgets of the taxing public, who should reject this untenable spending with an open checkbook. Just say no. The ARPA funds that were to be phased out now have been incorporated into the budget. The ARPA funds were to be used for pickleball courts in Terrible Park at $350,000 have been delayed over the years due to permits to be approved to develop the courts with cement and rebars to strengthen the courts from cracking in the floodplain. However, due to lobbying efforts from a group of pickleball groups, the town decided to go with asphalt courts that are not only cheaper, but will not last with cracks and buckling to be filled, making the courts unsafe. A perfect example of a rush to judgment of the junior high tennis pickleball courts that were cheap to renovate and continued to have buckling and cracks that were repaired year after year with added expenses. These courts are shared with the school and the community. If the junior high tennis pickleball courts were budgeted originally with a cement and rebar courts, a 25-year warranty would have benefited the taxpayers. The junior high courts are dangerous and are being used with great risk to the tennis pickleball players. The capital expenditure budget with a price of $650,000 for cement and rebars to replace the junior high courts is noted in 2029 that will last for 25 years. Given the condition of the courts at the junior high, this expenditure will have to be included in the 25-26 capital expenditures budget to continue the use of the courts. The town should apply for a grant for this expenditure as it is used by the community for exercise. The DEI Council has continued to hold meetings in total disregard to the federal government edict to eliminate DEI or lose funding. Is the town ready to take the risk? The tennis pickleball courts at Simsbury Farms are showing large cracks on the court that will eventually need major renovation. These are examples of doing the job on the cheap. Eventually the costs double and the results are a patchwork of fixes. The EV charging station at Town Hall parking lot is closed. This is a step in the right direction of evaluating expenditures inconsistent with the value to the community. Another expenditure is a comfort dog, an experiment that was instituted with the ARPA fund and should be eliminated. Along with eliminating the funding for the comfort dog, there is value added with the police vehicle for the dog added to the fleet, reducing the cost of paying for a new car. Officer Ball to be added to patrol, eliminating some overtime since the police department needs more officers on patrol. This expense is a public relations gimmick and should be eliminated from the budget. The Simsbury Farm Special Revenue Fund has an additional $151,715,000 added to the general fund for the shortfall. Since there is an infusion of revenue year after year, there should be a discussion on increasing the cost of services. Another option is to contract the golf course to a management company, as other towns and clubs have done with good results. According to the town website, the budget in 2028-78 is $84,564,331. The budget for 21-22 is $105,975,017, a difference of $21,441,001.6686. What has been added to the budget over the years that expenditures accelerated to that extent? The population has not increased over the years to increase expenditures. Town Manager Mark Nelson stated he was working with a zero-based budget. Perhaps he should take a deep dive into the expenditures added over the years to reduce the budget. With a projected cost of $171,000 for legal fees, the town should review the option of having an in-house attorney with additional duties as a grant writer to bring revenue to the town. And all my comments were posted on Simsbury Patch and Twitter at Joan Poe. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Joan. Anybody else here for public audience? Okay. So I'd like to start out tonight by asking Amy to show us where we stand. And then another couple of things, Amy. Can we include, or is it prudent to include the potential motor vehicle change for the depreciation and the veterans exemption? I know they haven't been voted on yet, but it does. I think it's supposed to happen in the next few days. Do we know?
I'm not sure of the timeline. So the current model has what has already status quo the situation that we're in. I think I have estimates if it changed for the grand list, but I do not have estimates for what it will do to the motor vehicle impact because the assessor's office is still working on that.
Okay, so the version that you sent us, the modeling with the veterans and motor vehicle, what did that include?
When I sent it last week?
Yeah.
I think I sent you one that's status quo and one that has the exemption, but I don't have and if that's what you want me to show, that's fine. I just don't have the motor vehicle impact change. We were looking at real estate, your home, how your home value changed, how your motor vehicle changed, then the total that we do not have. Okay, but you did include the estimate for the 90%. Yes.
Okay, so that's where I was kind of starting. I don't know if that's.
I'm gonna need a minute.
Oh, sure.
To you guys, and it's not on because I didn't know we were talking.
Well, does it make sense to start there because those are potential revenues and they lower the impact to the mill rate? So it'd be nice to hope that grand list comes to fruition.
Just 1 second.
What?
I said hi, Curtis. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
There are some more chairs in here.
Do you want us
we did verify that you'd need to pass that resolution that you and I spoke about over the weekend, so staff's working on it.
Okay, we would add that on the 10th. Yep.
On the 10th.
Yep. But we can still pretend that it's happening and that we're going to approve it.
No objection.
Okay. So, Amy, do you want me to leave you alone and talk about something else?
No, I'm good. I will go through this one of the status quo, and then I just put the other one on the drive, and then I'll take you through that one so you can see the change. Okay, so status quo, these are all of the changes. Do you want it bigger?
I can see it.
Okay. These are all of the changes that we made in the last.
Kevin wants it bigger.
I can accommodate Kevin. These are all of the changes on the right-hand side that we made at the last Board of Selectmen meeting to the budget, and those are all factored into here currently. So currently we stand at 3.24% for a town budget increase, and overall net expenditures of 2.95, and then we go down here and our mill rate increase is 1.06 or 3.29%. We take into account the fire district, which we don't know what their mill rate's going to be yet, but if it was flat, we would still be at the 1.06, and then the percentage changes to 3.18, and this would be a tax increase of about $290.
Okay.
So now if we bring up the other one. So same thing, if we have our 3.24% for the town, we're still at 2.95. The only thing that has changed in here is the revised grand list numbers to include any potential motor vehicle impact. And you are at a mill rate increase of 33.05, 0.79% increase, 2.5%.
I like that one.
Or 100, I think we used the other one, so 249 and a $450,000 house.
Okay. So we're gonna work, let's just kind of work through this one. Couple of things I wanted to just call out was, we know the Board of Ed is coming in 3.9. Okay, so, and that, I was told the, inflation rate has gone up in January to 3%. Is that true?
Well, I didn't tell you that. I don't know where you
No,
got
I heard that. I
can't verify.
Okay.
I think the state is working off of 3.31.
Okay. Oh, even
3.3 or
more.
3.4.
Okay.
So,
That's right.
double check.
So I was gonna, I'm gonna work with our peers here, but obviously the original guidance, which may have changed due to situations of 2%, is really not gonna happen here. Given the amount of cuts we would need, over $200,000. Don't think that's possible, but I think we should make our best effort here to get that down as much as we can and get under 3 as much as we can. And especially if this grand list comes to fruition, that really helps us quite a bit. Agreed. I'm going to look both ways. So I thought I think we want to revisit areas that we may have missed or wanted to get back to from last week. Sorry for those people in the audience. And I was going to start, Kevin. I was going to start down with Kevin. Is there anything you from last week that you have on the list that you want to revisit, or any cuts or anything that you wanted to go back and relook at?
No, I'll defer comments for later.
Okay, Diana, do you got?
No, I'm going to defer at this point.
Okay. Do you want? I have a list, but do you want? Well, let me go this way, Curtis or Heather.
Right, I want to see what's on the list.
Okay. So, do you want me to go? Or do you want to go?
What do you want me to start with? Give me a hint.
I'll start with a few, and then just to revisit a few things. The other thing I want to talk about too, because that will help us also, is the permit change, which would increase our revenue. And George, thank you. You sent us a lot of good information on that, and we could talk about that as a board, because if we do by I can't remember exactly, but what was the revenue change if we went to the $2, which Selectmen Antonio recommended?
I think the increase would be double what we had put in the town manager preferred, proposed. So another
105,000,
110 combined.
Okay.
It's all based on an estimate, remember?
Yeah.
It's based on estimated revenue. So that's about
which was increasing already, given other factors. So, I mean, we did have at George's request a pretty vibrant discussion at the staff level about it, and we settled on a 1. I think you might find that some of us like the 1.5, but based on what the fire district had done, which we brought forward last time, I don't think staff would recommend 2.
Okay, so that would just be something we could talk about if we need to.
Do you want to get into it now, or
is that the only revenue item that we were going to address? Sure. Just in general. We're going to go through expenditures. Let's revisit that. Let's go back through the expenditures. Okay. Do you want us? I have some changes to revisit, or do you want us? I asked you if you want us. We're wearing our matching fleece, so I just want to point that out. All right, I'll start here. I'd like to propose that we remove the intern of $4,000 from the town manager's office. The reason I'm asking to do that is because we have the 23.5, I believe, in the HR department, and that's for an intern. Tom, you can correct me. Yeah, so what's the other contractual services then? 23.5.
One second, sorry.
Got it, it's came off every budget for, background checks and reference checks.
Okay.
can I just ask why that would not be part of the human resources budget?
It is.
It is.
Okay, I thought we were in the town manager's office.
I'm trying to ask what is included in the 23,250, and if it was just for the intern or if it was for other things.
So that's that last time, if you'll recall, we discussed that 4,000
Yep,
that
yep.
was incorrectly left in the town manager's office when we moved that intern to HR.
Yep.
And the 4,000 is specifically for, to get the full year, whereas the 18,250 or whatever that number is just August. So that additional 4,000 was for the summer hours.
So,
Okay.
Right.
are you asking to eliminate it so it's not a full year, or you just want to move it to HR where?
I was gonna eliminate it. And just have it as an HR, position, as a Yukon intern.
Is I hearing that you need the 4 to make it a full year?
It's not quite a full year, but it did extend the internship program, a little earlier, a little later. As Tom indicated, we had meant to move that to HR along with the interns. So from a town manager staffing perspective, we gave up. The initial ask as we were building the budget was for a second intern. That wasn't going to fly in this environment. So, we listened to HR, and we considered what the needs were in the TMO. And the solution at the staff level was to move the intern to HR. We failed to move the 4,000, but that 4,000 has been a part of the intern. It's just our portion that extends it. So that was an oversight on our part. So what the board is wrestling with now is to cut it or to move it to HR. In subsequent discussions at the staff level, in my office, we wanted to borrow the HR intern occasionally because we will feel them. We're going to feel the loss of that intern. I mean, we did when Noel left. Again, up to the board. No objections from us on moving it. It'd be unfortunate to cut it, but we understand that that's what you have to do. So,
Question about that, if it was cut, and so therefore reducing the amount of time that the internship would be happening, would that make applicants less likely to apply if it's a shorter intern, or does it have an impact on, the services that we will get? I mean, outside of, obviously, we're missing the additional hours here, but I want to make sure it's not going to affect applications.
I certainly don't think it would at all reduce the pool of applicants. Many of whom are thrilled to get the Simsbury job. Right. I do think that I was happy when I first came on board that additional money was in the budget, because one of the things from a manager's perspective that's negative about internship programs generally, not this one, but all of them, is that it takes time to ramp up. And you've got to train a new person every year or every year and a half. And that's a commitment of time that we invest in that individual. And that return on investment is a lot better if you stretch their period with us just a little bit longer. So my only trepidation about this is that it kind of shifts me back to my old way of thinking, which I can tell you in Poughkeepsie I didn't have interns. Everybody came in every year, wanted interns, and my analysis in that particular environment was that it was taking too much time from staff to get the intern up to speed, and so that 4,000 kind of made it worth it. So you have them for a longer period of the year. Noel, for example, started doing the public safety newsletter. You'll remember when that was suggested to us, the town manager's office didn't have the resources to do it, and we said, please wait till we get the intern. We got the intern, started doing it, and then we lost the intern. So just an example.
Yeah, no, I understand, and I don't think it would hurt anything with the Yukon program,
Yeah.
because I
Just want to make sure.
reach out to everybody.
Yeah.
I think we have a good sized staff in the town manager's office. The HR was who needed it this year, and I just think, given you could bring it back next year if we have the grand list growth. So I'm in favor of cutting the 4,000. I don't know if we
I'm
need
also
to
in
take a
favor
vote.
of cutting.
Anybody else?
Well, not hearing that it's going to affect the pool of
Right.
applicants, and I think that we can get an understanding about how valuable that extra time was, and we can hear next year if it was a more challenge, we could have got a better value add. I do think it's great to have the quality of the type of intern in the town offices. We're probably gaining some efficiencies there. It's probably fairly well spent, and having that turnover positively impacts what you might get not having fresh ideas coming in by having longer permanent staff. So in other words, I'm in favor of keeping the program and the 4,000 cut to make it a partial year program and not a full year
Yep,
program.
okay.
in
So
favor of
let's
that.
put that on the list.
Yep.
Tom, for tonight's. And I just remembered that I was asked to go to planning first because George has a meeting. Correct?
Zoning commission tonight?
Okay. So, do we want to jump to, if we have any questions on planning?
Sure, let's cut the zoning commission.
Second.
Just a joke. No,
Okay, why? Because then Kate will be at home
Kate
at
will
night.
be home more.
And George could stay.
Planning, I'm looking. I don't have
As long as you need it.
anyone have planning items?
What do we want to jump to the revenue thing since that was our
Yes,
discussion
Yes.
point?
But
And then we've got CIP and TNR, anything for
yeah, we do,
planning?
we do, yeah. So the revenue item, George shared all that information. You guys are saying that you feel that the 1.5 is a safer, more realistic increase than going to 2.
I would defer to George on it. I mean, obviously, as you increase that, at some point, it negatively impacts economic development, particularly on the bigger projects. But
Yeah.
George?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm prepared to advocate tonight. I was just trying to provide you with some revenue facts. So the $1 raises about $55,000 a year, $2 $109. And if I look at $2 still keeps us. Here are the facts. The average is about $16 per $1,000 of construction cost. $2 would take us to $16.26.
So, how about the cost of some projects? George, I don't have a new kitchen, but you had mentioned like a $10,000 kitchen reno, a $50,000 home addition. Where does that sit with like your perspective on building costs for projects today? The dollar doesn't go as far. Like, what are you seeing in the office? It doesn't seem overly burdensome to me. The fee structure there, and I socialized that with a few friends to understand how it would have impacted projects they had done. But costs of projects, are they drastically increased, and so this is now an exponential increase?
Well, I mean, I think there are increases to construction costs for sure. Inflation and materials.
Sure.
Absolutely.
From tariffs tomorrow.
Again, I would simply say that we are at the lowest at $14.26. We are the lowest in the Farmington Valley. Right. $16 is the average in the Farmington Valley.
I'm a strong proponent of the $2. It doesn't put us out of whack. It's 26 cents. Put it this way, if you want $1.50, you're now under the average again. And we're not going to revisit this in 6 months. To be frank, we're probably not going to revisit this in the next 2 years. So I think being 26 cents over the average puts us where we want to be, that we can rest for a while instead of addressing this.
We haven't made this change since at least 2012. We haven't even reviewed. So I did provide some numbers. If you just took, a $50,000 house addition, I mean, just random assumptions. Today's fee is $713. That's what the permit fee would cost a citizen of Simsbury. If you add the dollar, it goes to $763. So an increase of $50. $2, it's $100 increase. So $50,000 house addition would cost $813 as opposed to $713. It's a $100 increase to your average.
But it would help all the taxpayers across the board.
It would raise, at $2, probably it's going to raise, at least $100,000 in revenue.
Yeah, I was more concerned with the impact to any businesses. But if we're saying that the relative level across our neighboring towns is higher or will be equal, then it really shouldn't deter anybody from coming here.
The proportional impact to a business owner won't be as much for an aging resident in Terriffill who needs to make their home more ADA compliant needs a renovation to do that. The proportional change for them will be much higher.
Yeah.
So that's where my perspective is on this. I kind of think that the economic development thing maybe it's certainly worthy, but I think they're either going to do the project or not. This is either the right town or it's not. And it's definitely going to be a factor in the cost, but I think it can be more easily absorbed. But in talking with a couple of folks who had done, a larger project or garage addition, it seems like it didn't feel like it was burdensome to them when I asked about this increase.
I mean, I'm going through a condition right now. It's really expensive. First of all, just the cost of everything goes up.
You bragging, credit?
No, just kidding. It costs a lot, and
Next
done
time,
quickly.
next time.
Yeah, I got my permits before.
Good.
But no, I mean, I think as prices go up, I don't want to push it too far. I mean, I hear your point, Stephen, at the $2. I'd probably be more for $1.50 just because it just costs so much to do a renovation or an addition or a kitchen. So it's an additional cost.
If I can respond just to belabor the point, that would be a cumulative increase of less than 1% per year. As we all know, inflation over the past 13 years since we've raised it has far exceeded 1% per year. And this is less than 1% per year. We're merely doing a adjustment. We're not out as a revenue stream. We are correcting something that has lagged behind because we have not taken advantage. And I want to remind you, you already have your building permit.
So the other thing for me, Stephen, on that too, the increase because of inflation and all that, the fees we're collecting are increasing because the cost of the projects are going up.
Interesting.
So that's where
That's a great
we're gaining that additional revenue. But I think adjusting the fee structure and matching it to where we are in the valley is absolutely an appropriate conversation. I was very comfortable at 1. I'm a little bit uncomfortable at 2, but I actually don't know that I feel as great about splitting the baby at $1.50. I feel like we're either at 2 or at 1 because the numbers are easy to match up. So that's where I'm at.
And where I am is that we haven't, like George said, we haven't looked at it since 2012. And to your point, when is the next time we're going to look at this? It's not going to be looked at. So if we increase it now, it's not that we're going to look to increase next year or within the next 5 years. It may be another 12 to 15 years before it looks at. And at that point, are we under market? I mean, we don't want to keep raising these fees exorbitantly. But I do feel that if we are under with the rest of our peer group, that we should at least be in line, but knowing that I agree with Kevin that I don't think splitting the difference is, so I'm for 2.
Yeah, so here's what I would suggest. Let's, if you guys agree, let's make the assumption of a 2. We have to have a public hearing, right? So we'll hear from people. I guess the worst case is we have to roll it back if we end up voting, if we hear that there's a lot of outcry from any of the businesses, or if Main Street or the Chamber, any of those EDC weighs in, we'll make sure that they come to the public hearing. And then if need be, it'll get rolled out. It'll have to be approved. The hearing and the approval by us will have to happen before it gets approved through the BOF. So we have enough time to get there if we put it on our Monday agenda to schedule the public hearing, correct? Does that sound good with everybody?
Yeah, budget for 2. That's great.
Okay, and that adds about what to, or where we are, just what does it add on the, estimated on the revenue, another 50?
or 60.
Okay, so there, that's good, in the plus column. Okay,
Doesn't 2 yield 109?
but we added here, we counted for the ones.
Oh,
Right,
I hear you.
adds an additional.
increase.
Mr. Math in your head.
Well, I didn't realize we we're talking net and not gross. Okay. I apologize.
All right, so got 2 things done. Anything else for George in planning?
We adjusted the car. I don't know if that's a concern. The
Vehicle.
and all that.
I think we're leaving it as is.
No,
we
I asked
adjusted
for
it
that.
last time.
I just want to make sure it was right sizing the vehicle.
Yeah, it's in there. It's 30 and was moved to planning.
I think he was just giving George a
George is here.
Oh,
George.
George.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't here. Oh, George, you weren't there.
No, so I'm appreciative of that. That sounds great.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Good talk.
Could get a used Volvo.
Maybe a Honda.
The Hyundai, we
Oh,
decided, yes.
but you can get a used Volvo for 30.
Okay.
What? You don't want?
I'm just kidding.
All right, I'll
Go
stop
off.
talking.
Just a point that, and George, correct me if I'm wrong, but I should have brought this on the last one. It's actually building, not
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. It will be one of the building inspectors. They drive two cars that equal 32 years in service right now. So that's been
show up on their building.
yeah, it's a building.
Okay.
So the current vehicle.
I think it's an 07.
We've got an
That'll be
07 and a
replaced,
2011.
Will there
I had
be
a
an
great,
offset
I had a great
and
photograph of the one we're replacing up
sale
on the
price?
list. Sorry?
Will there be an offset in like a
Sure.
trade-in or anything?
I don't think so for the 07, but. let Mr.
$1,000.
Bring it to the high school and put it
Right.
for
CarMax.
sale.
Newington for 500.
Mr. Roy might be better at explaining what that value might be.
We could
I can't imagine it's got
We
great.
could make tens of dollars.
Normally on something like that, we would take it in and we would hold it, we would use it as a trade-in towards one of the vehicles. As we purchase vehicles, we trade in some of the old vehicles.
Okay, and okay, so that's it. I was going to bring that up to talk about moving that to CNR, but I was reminded that we were told that would create a cliff. So I will leave that where it is. I'm going to jump to IT, or I'm sorry, to HR. And again, I've raised this, but I would like to move the 10.1 one-time software charge to CNR.
Is George then done? We're
Yeah.
dismissed, George?
Yeah, nobody has any questions for George.
I am just downstairs, so you need me.
I say so, like, we can let him go.
I just think that it was, I know there's still money, but this said just specifically one-time implementation cost of 10.1. I just think that should be in CNR if it's a
We agree.
one-time. Okay. Thank you. That was easy. Anybody? No, I guess I have to talk.
You're doing great though.
I know, thank you, but I feel like I'm in the hot seat here. Question, another thing, and these are all small, but they all add up, so I'm gonna put them out here. I think the furniture for $5,000, given the low grand list, I think it would be better to wait till we have more grand lists next year, which is proposed, and to just take that out.
We agree.
Oh, gee, Mark.
Oh, we can fight.
I had a question on back to the Board of Selectmen Community Services. Remind me where the mailer, is that under here in the printing? Yeah, where is the budget mailer?
It's in your budget.
It is in advertising.
Okay, that's where I was, okay, so that's why it went up $4,000 over 25 and 26. So how did we, if we, we're doing two mailers this year,
This will be the first year for two.
the 25 year, correct?
Correct.
So then the budget for 25 was 4,300. So why are we going up to 5,600? Is that what you were
The
going
cost
to
of mailing.
Pardon me? That's not postage. Isn't postage somewhere else or no? And some postage is separate, isn't it?
It's an increase of 1,300, which is what, 14%?
That's half the mailer. Board of Ed pays for the other half.
Go ahead. Lisa.
Wendy, if you'll just recall, we did a supplemental appropriation at year end, so you wouldn't see the year-to-year appropriation.
Okay.
It's the year-to-year change, so it was actually higher, but
Okay.
you're looking at 25 approved to
Okay, I thought it-
25 and 6. If they showed the amended budget, it would show it.
So it would have shown it. Okay. So then, never mind. Never mind. What's that from? That's a SNL thing.
So, hold it, just so I'm following. So the cost of postage went up $1,300 for the mailer.
No. So in 2025, there was no budget mailer. Year-end close, we did a supplemental appropriation. You don't see it in
Okay.
the things you have there, but it's in the amended budget that we have, just because of the way we present
So this is technically flat funded.
No, it's an additional 1.3
Aha!
of a new flyer, because there's a new, over 2025, but it's not above the supplemental appropriation cost.
Okay, I'm
It just
following
covers
now.
two.
Okay. And the supplemental's not in this budget from last year, is what you're
That's
saying?
You're not
why it
seeing
looks
it.
like a bigger
Yeah,
increase than
okay.
everything.
Okay. All right. So then that answers that. that was advertising with the mailer. If you have anything that you want to throw out, go ahead. That's what we're here. I did, well, I'll ask a couple questions. So, one thing that was, there's a lot of contractual items from department to department, and I know we talked through some of them. I don't know if we talked through all of them, and so I may revisit a couple. I know, Melissa, I have notes on a few of those from you, but I was, and I'm sorry to jump around.
Where are you now? I'm sorry.
I'm looking to get there.
Unfortunately, we're all on like different, I think,
Right.
spreadsheets too.
I'm
which is
looking at
part of-
so, I'll just jump to,
Are you looking?
I'll go to dispatch. That's easy. What is the contractual services for there? Just curious. It went up, the year 24 end is 1,200. The actual for 24 says 224, and this year is 32,800.
So you're asking what went up
Yeah, what is
from
the-
last year to this year?
Dispatch contractual services. Yeah, I'll ask you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So last year to this year, we have a UPS in dispatch, power supply, uninterrupted power supply.
Okay.
And so we had to pay $3,000 for that system. That was the reason for the increase from last year to this year. This year to the next year actually went down.
Okay.
At $14 though. Am I looking at the right line?
Yes,
that's the same.
That's correct.
So are we buying another UPS?
No, it's a service agreement for that.
Okay.
Service agreement, replacement of batteries. It's getting up there in age.
Okay. I feel like I have to jump around here. So, does anybody mind the jumping around? Is it kind of like a surprise that you never
Keeps
know
us
when
on
you're
our
going to
toes.
get asked a question?
I'm excited
I like
for the
it.
next one.
Are you? You want to guess?
Where are we gonna go?
Here we go.
I'll say that I agree with you. That contractual services is a worthy area for us to explore potential savings because we may be overestimating. But I haven't seen anything myself. But I'm looking forward to what you might have uncovered.
I'm trying to find them all. That would be helpful, I guess, in that maybe next year to list where they all are, or just maybe they're in the notes. They could be in the notes. I'm not sure. Because I'm looking at something that without the notes.
Public Works went up. Contractual services is a huge jump. That was one of them.
Okay.
Do you want to ask Tom?
I think
He's
we
the
had
guy
an
over there.
answer on one of those, so that's why, but we can ask them.
Is that one on WPCA?
No, it's just under Public Works Administration.
I think the answer we provided on that one was
Yeah.
through the MS form.
Yeah, I have that answer somewhere. But
Fine, I'll pull out my asked and answered list.
oh, you have one? You didn't share it with me. Okay.
So are you okay with that number?
I was the other day, so I was okay with that one because I got a good explanation on that one. Trying to find. We all asked about the engineering consulting, and that was an increase of 10,000 also. It's hard to find all of these. Public. So I have another question, and it kind of applies to all the buildings. There's the equipment maintenance and facilities maintenance, both items in the town offices, in Eno, all seem to have gone way up. What's the rationale?
I wish I had a better answer than inflation. All of our vendors, all of our suppliers, things like paper products, chemicals that we use, when we call for a service on the HVAC systems, everything's been going up for about the last 3 years, and if anything, kind of held some of those increases for a couple of years, and they've shot up. So
Okay, but they,
So if that's true, why are they going down under Parks and Rec? I know that's not you. Is Tom
They're not
here?
cleaning their bathrooms
He's
is
here.
Oh, hey, Tom.
Which tab are you under, Steve?
Parks and Rec maintenance, facilities maintenance actually went down 6.89%.
You're under the 100, the general fund account, or the, I have two, that's
It's
fine.
account 54330.
And what's the first three though, that's what I need to know. 100
54.
and the 205.
I don't have that in
Is
this
it Parks Maintenance or is it Simsbury Farms, the revenue?
No, it's Parks and Rec dash maintenance. It's facilities maintenance, which the budgeted request is 77,066.
No, I got that off my notes there.
I don't know. We need page numbers on stuff
Bear
moving
with me for 1
forward.
second. What we had in the.
Well,
We
actually,
oh, I
did
got
our
it,
best
I got
effort.
it. I have that question
We
too.
did make our best effort to trim where we could, so. that could be it.
Facilities
So
maintenance.
my question is actually to pit you against other Tom. How were you able to find savings in the other Tom?
Tom is correct. Everything for the last 3 years, I mean, minimum wage is killing us because what
I
you
know
get
that.
wage.
Preaching to the choir, dude.
All the trades are
Oh, yeah.
going, more expensive per hour. The parts are more per hour. Anything we order, even from Amazon, paper, like Tom said, paper products or floor wax.
But those
Everything's
wouldn't
more
come under
expensive.
facilities maintenance, would they?
What's that? Yeah, facilities maintenance would be your paper products.
Right.
Or
No,
in
I
some
thought you were
cases,
talking
cleaning
about
products
labor.
might be under cleaning products too. I mean, we have all those different
So
categories.
I don't want to get too far out. I understand everything's going up. My question is, how did you save?
Bear with me. I was trying to find your tab here.
It's on page 201 in the,
That doesn't
okay.
I forgot that. I had pages on that one.
I guess we should just stick with one department.
It's the $5,000 savings, the $5,700 savings.
That
you're referring to?
Jump around, but I feel like I'm the only one talking.
Is it this 57 under Parks Maintenance, $5,700 savings?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know how and if we can do it with Public Works.
Took from Public Works.
That's our cut. That was we were asked to make cuts to our line items, and that's
So why can't
that's
we
one of the
do?
line items we chose to do.
Back to Tom number one. Why can't we cut yours $5,700 and be like Tom number two?
In fairness,
You're setting the bar so high.
You like Tom.
In fairness, if I could jump in here, so, our budget review and work was really truncated into two pieces. One was the initial cuts and effort to come up with the things that we needed to run the town next year. That did not get us close enough to where we needed to be. And at that point, I asked department heads to cut another X percent, I forget the percent. At that point, because the cuts were getting deeper, potentially more painful, I felt that it was best to leave it to the department heads to get that incremental cut. And so you will find some differences between department heads where they chose to cut, because we challenged them to do it. If they couldn't do it, then I'd have to do it. If I had done it, you would have seen probably some uniformity, to your point, Stephen. But again, my management style is to leave it to the department heads when we have a budget like this, as I would hope the board would leave it to us. If the board said, we need to find another 50,000, staff will help you get to that number, which is what we're trying to do tonight. But the department heads will choose a little differently, and I'll let Tom Roy chime in here because he also cut. He might have made cuts in different places. That's all.
I think I might have got a higher percentage on the cutting than.
No, he did.
Yeah.
You actually did, as a percentage of of your total budget, DPW cut a little deeper.
But Steve, to answer your point, ours was going to be tree cutting. So if we're not going to be able to cut down as many trees that fall down or prune.
Wasn't that your supplemental request this year?
That was the storm last year, but we have to think about next year. Those costs are going up exponentially.
I don't want to belabor it. I was
So
wondering
that's
if
what that
you
cut
had
was,
some
facility
insight
maintenance.
in that line specifically.
So since we're in Parks and Rec, I'm gonna I have a question for you, Tom.
Yeah.
This Tom.
But Steve, does that answer your question as to why there's a little difference there?
Yeah, it's a nuance. My favorite word.
I know you do like that word a lot.
I do.
So, Parks and Rec, I assume the water charges for,
Memorial Pool
for,
or anywhere.
Parks and Rec maintenance. I'm assuming that's the Simsbury Farms pool is in there for the water
Simsbury
charge?
Well, it depends which account you're in. There's a water charge for Simsbury Farms. It's in the Revenue, Parks and Recreation Fund, and then there's a water charge associated with parks maintenance for.
Parks maintenance,
Okay.
number, I could read the line item number. I have it 55110.
I just need, yes, I just need to know
The water
which,
charges.
which tab you're in though.
The parks maintenance.
Oh, okay, so ours was flat there.
So it was flat, but my question, and I noticed this in the other memorial pool water charges, that it's flat to the budget from last year, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, if I look at 24, it's gone up $26,000. And if I look at the memorial pool, it's gone up $12,000 from 2024. So I'm just trying to understand how we got.
So water had gotten more expensive. We were using more. If you remember the year before, there was a drought year. So we had used more water the previous year. And then this year, the rates are supposed to be flat. So we went with a flat number.
Well, yeah, but did the estimate is going to, I mean, I looked, the budget is 82, from 25, the budget was 82,766. The estimated use for 25 is 82,766.
That's facilities maintenance.
That's the line.
Oh, I'm on the,
Yeah, you're not.
okay, I'm sorry, I switched lines, well, still, I could still say it to this line, right? 26 was the budget for 25, the estimate is exactly the same as the budget, and the requested is the same as the budget, right? But if I look at the 24 actual, it's at 10. So I was just curious, I know it's flat to the budget, but I'm trying to get it, where does it fall to the actuals?
The
20
10 is the year-to-date actual.
You know, I know,
Right.
24 actual
So would
says
that estimate that it should
No,
double?
that's a different one. That's memorial. Are you under
No, I'm on
memorial?
this, 'cause this is
Previous year,
26,100.
Not knowing what the weather's gonna be like this
And
spring.
then here's
It could be super
Memorial
dry or
here.
It could be super wet, and if it's super wet, we'll
Well, the
use less.
actual for 24.
Okay, I'm just, I guess I'm just,
5,000.
So it'll come in under it,
See, I have year to date.
best case scenario. I mean,
No, that's 25.
I just,
Right.
I just, they
So
look,
24
both look very
says
high compared to
14.
2 years ago. I'm asking if the water charges have gone up that much in 2
And they have
years.
this as 10,141 under fiscal
Also,
year
if
to
you
date.
take, I mean, if we're at a half a year at 12/31, and then we take another half a year at the
That's
same
right.
weather, you're already at 20.
Right.
And then if you have like a dry spring, I mean,
Was
it could
14.
happen that he's at 26, 25, 26 by the end of the year. That's not unreasonable.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that we, it's going into the mill rate, so I want to make sure that it's not going to be way over, right? I mean, I'm trying to do my due diligence here, and the same with the memorial pool, it's about a $5,000 estimate for 25, and we're doing 16. So we're saying we built in like a $5,000 cushion for water charges. If that's realistic, you could then tell me that. That's all.
we're on are we talking Memorial Pool now?
Yeah, both. I think they're both fairly the same kind of relationship.
I mean, we do our best. I mean, we're pretty good at estimating every year. That parks maintenance budget is usually pretty solid to what the number is year after year. I mean, it's really very weather dependent. We did do some, finger in the dike kind of thing last year with Memorial Pool to slow the water loss that was there, and I think we did. So it's more manageable. That's why we're not looking for an increase there. I mean, typically, with anything in the general fund, it does get turned. It gets turned back if we don't use it. But I think we're usually pretty close to hitting that target number. I mean, without overestimating a ton.
Okay. I just have to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, that's. So we already did the facilities maintenance. So we're saying that the 5,000 extra water charge is reasonable, given potential conditions.
I think it's still high, but.
I do too, but I don't have a.
This is the same for the
what?
year.
I don't have
Consensus?
I don't know if
Crystal
I have a
ball?
consensus, but I don't have a crystal ball either. I mean, we could take a couple thousand out of each. I don't know how much we have normally in savings in Parks and Rec overall.
Same thing.
So I can't answer that question, right? Because we could, if we needed it and there were savings within the department, we could use interdepartmental transfers if there was need be to cover that additional cost.
Tom, to cut to the chase, if we cut that amount by 10% across all departments, do you think that would be burdensome? Because you've got the fields, you've got the pool, you've got the general maintenance.
Across all departments.
No, I mean water, just
He
water.
means like park
Because you have water.
maintenance, Memorial Field, and Memorial Pool.
I mean, that's a lot. It's so weather dependent, Steve. We could be coming back and we've already trimmed down the budgets in other areas, so we can't necessarily move line. If it's a really dry spring and you cut it 10% next year, or dry fall and spring next year,
Yeah.
you cut it 10%. I don't have that cushion we just took out of the facility maintenance and tree pruning. That there's no money there to move over and
Okay.
buffer it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, if it rains all fall and spring, we're happy to turn that money back and to the town. We're not going to go and spend it on anything else.
Okay.
You sure you want to commit to that? I'm just kidding. No, just leave it out there.
We talked about the.
Are we centering on Parks and Rec now?
Well, we
Or
were. So since Tom's already in the hot seat here, I don't know if I have any more there.
So I have a general question, but I'll give it to you, Tom, since I've already razzed you. Overtime is really killing me here, that we always have these overtimes. Your overtime went up by $1,000 under the general maintenance category alone. And I don't mean to pick that out. What can we do? Can we lower that estimation by proper planning? Why is it overtime? Which is time and a half, I assume?
So overtime, we raised overtime up a little bit because of the contractual increase. We can't keep it the same, and the guys are going to get paid more, and that means their overtime is going to be more. It can't just stay the same.
But
we don't necessarily use all that overtime every year either.
Right, but do you schedule for overtime, or is it entirely?
Yes, we do in one case, when the rink changes over at the beginning of the season and the end, because we have people who work during the meat of the rink season. They may work a Tuesday through Saturday schedule, and they have Sundays and Mondays off. As they come back, as the rink closes, we're in that period right now. As the rink's closing, those people are being moved back to their regular shift, Monday through Friday shift, because we won't have need for them on the weekends anymore. So contractually, that's the way it works out. They get a little bit of overtime in the fall for those 4 people who start working the rink shift during the weekends during the first half of the season, and then we change halfway over, let's say mid-January or January, beginning of January. They change over 4 new people. Those people go back to working a Monday through Friday, and 4 new people go back to working a split week. So they get overtime at the beginning of the season and at the end. Other than that, it's all weather dependent, storm dependent. We don't plan for overtime regularly.
But the first half of your discussion actually sounded like you do plan for overtime.
That's why I said I corrected myself. It's for 2 weeks out of the 2 weeks at the beginning of the rink season, 2 weeks at the end. We have to plan for it because we can't. You have people going from a 5-day schedule Monday through Friday to now a 5-day schedule working on the weekends.
Just the maintenance department, though, we're talking about $31,000. This isn't like 2 weeks type stuff. And that's why I'm belaboring the point. If it was $3,100, I agree, but our budget request for overtime on just Parks and Rec maintenance is $31,000, and that's where my point comes from. Can't we do some better planning? Obviously, we can't plan for a storm that's unknown, but this isn't 2 weeks. It's a lot of overtime, I'll be honest. And it's not you personally. I don't mean to belabor it.
We do have people have to come in for storms. We take care of the senior villages. We salt and sand those. I mean, we're not just salt and sanding and snow plowing parks or shoveling sidewalks and Terrafil or anything. We have to do those other places. It's just if it snows or some years like last year was pretty dry. I think our overtime number was actually pretty low, but I can't anticipate it's going to be that low all the time. You kind of look at the average of our last few years plus contractual increases. Again, if they get a 3% raise, their overtime is going to be generally that much higher as well.
So I was just going to weigh in. We're talking about the overtime and the maintenance.
Anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I'm just looking at the maintenance. It's like the one with the 30,900. That doesn't really. So, to me, I guess I would say that is somewhat realistic if I look at the actuals of 14, 22, 24. That's 28,000. It's close to 3. So it's really not going up that much. If I look at
we just estimated the 3% on the contingency kind of thing.
So humor me. Can I ask about if we talked about this last week? I don't have the notes. The seasonal line item.
Yeah, we trimmed it.
Well, if I look at that, I mean that's a huge. It says the estimate for 25 is 15,000, and the year to date was 1130, and we're asking for 38K. And if I look at the compared to actual 25, it's 23, it's a lot of increase. What is seasonal and,
Parks maintenance seasonal are the college kids who come in and, they do the weed whacking around the fences, trash, things like that. But I think at the last meeting, we talked about lowering that number.
okay, 'cause-
Typically, we can't find, it's very difficult.
Yeah,
Most years, we can't find 5. We're basically gonna budget for 3. And I think that's why we had a decrease in there, I thought.
did we do, I don't remember decreasing it. Did we?
No, it's
We
up
have to- let's decrease it.
4.4%.
And there's an increase from the 24 Act.
Yeah, it's a 23,000 increase from 25 and a 32,000 increase from 24. So I think that's something we should lower. At least to,
Well, it feels like something was moved there. I think that's why that number has gone up. There's no way.
Well, I don't see a negative in that amount though, Kevin. in all
I'm not
fairness.
saying that you know or I know. It just feels like repetitive.
I bet Tom knows.
That's why I'm asking. Yes. What was moved?
but you're saying we discussed lowering that, but we didn't
I was pretty out of it last week, so
Yeah,
unless I'm
oh,
missing
yeah.
something. I thought
Sure.
this was either last week or the week before we talked about moving that number down.
Okay, so let's move that number down. But what's a realistic number?
I think we talked to Tom has insight more than I do.
So my suggestion, if the request was for 38,448, that's after the minimum wage increase. My suggestion would be to take 3/5 of that number and reduce it by 2/5.
Okay.
Because we're going to hire 3 out of the 5.
Okay.
That's a pretty significant.
8 times
You've got 4 people
0.6. So 23,000. It drops to 2. Or it drops 23,000. Is that right? No, it drops at 223.
So we're going to I suggest keeping 3/5 of the 38.
Right, so that would be keeping $23,069.
23,000. So let's do keep 25.
So we're saving 13,448.
Fine, make it 23,000 if
Okay,
you want
okay,
to round
okay.
off.
Okay,
Why are you
enough.
going up? We're here to cut.
Okay. All right, so what is the number for 26 that we're putting in for seasonal?
23,100.
I like even numbers, but that's okay. 100.
Then cut it to 23. What?
No. Let's give the
Ah.
100.
It's not.
I'm giving the 100. I was going to go to 25, but he told me not to.
For which one?
So that gives us a
Seasonal
$15,000
employment.
add back reduction.
No objection.
Okay.
We're making this 25 instead of 38.
23,100.
Oh, 23.
All right, I'm not going to go anymore.
I'm done with Tom. Tom,
I was going to say. Well,
Thank you.
Oh, I have one
I
more
hope
for
it
Tom.
works.
Sorry, Tom.
48.
The building supplies, did we talk about the increase to that, the 6,700 with an estimate of in 24 right now at about 550?
I have it as an increase of 335. I know. Although we did potentially make changes.
Building,
Under
main-
which one?
Parks
Build-
maintenance, building supplies.
Building supplies.
Yeah.
That's things like fencing, repairs, lumber, paint, stain, all that stuff's just going up.
Okay.
That's literally what people see. I apologize. That's what people see when they walk in and out of the buildings. That's what also makes it safe.
Can I ask you one of my backwards questions? How did you only spend $554
Yeah.
so far this year?
A lot of that work gets done in the spring after we close the rink.
Okay.
Okay. Nobody else is.
In preparation for the pool season, spring sports, things like that.
So we're good with 60.
I got Tom's concession. I'm off.
All right. Any other Parks and Rec items? So we're sticking with the water charges. I already asked about that. Okay. That's enough. We got 18, 15. Want to pick a department? Anyone?
How about library?
Okay, library.
So, I have some library questions, just, we've looked at a lot of part-time increases, and there's also some increases with the children's, library as well, the full-time staff, and I guess in general, and it kind of circles back the passport question, but when I look at the library, I think, you know, it's almost 10% of our town's budget. And I think that in general, we can offer a high quality library for less money. You know, my concern is, do we have program overlap with things that is going on with social services and parks and rec? I don't think that we need to be the jack of all trades and provide everything under the sun at the library. I think that, you know, we should really look at, and it's a little late now, but over time, of where we can find efficiencies there and what programs are really working and which ones, you know, to pay staff for an hour to process a passport when it's easily offered at the post office. And if we have some programming that maybe 4 people show up for, then maybe we shouldn't offer that, and we should get a little more focused on what we're offering and just kind of like drilling down at some of these numbers, like residents with library cards. How many of those are active? Because no one goes in to cancel their library card that I'm aware of. And then library visits per capita. You know, how is that tracked? How is it broken down? What percentage of those people are going in for meetings, public hearings, voting days, staff entering and exiting? So I just, in a big sense, and I think a lot of it is because we have seen increases with part-time, you know, needing a part-time transfer this year, and just there are a lot of employees there, and you know, my concern is just is this the best for our town, or can we offer a high quality library that we offer for less money? So you know, and I just think that's something that we need to look at over time. I think $2 million of our tax dollar money is a lot, and I love our library, but I don't think that means that we need to offer every service imaginable.
Well, I'll take a shot at that and then defer to Lisa, our department head. So appreciate the comments, and I know you and I have spoken about it a couple of times. It's this year, I think for the first time, at least that I'm aware of, we did use the zero-based budgeting model in a few of the departments. We chose the smaller ones. Obviously, HR was new, so we were able to do that. PD, some other examples of wipe the slate clean and go through it line by line, every single one. We've also conveyed to the department heads that next year we plan on hitting the bigger departments, which is the library and public works, right? I started, as you know, last January with only a month and a half to get that first budget done. And we did, with your support, fill some critical areas that have allowed us to make some progress over the last year. And we began the ZBB process this year. We put our toe in the water with ClearGov, and we all know we've had some issues with that as we've tried to transition to an electronic budget modeling. As far as the library goes, I think that, you know, we from a management perspective, we'd like to have 1 year of ZBB before we get into those answers. Not at all that we disagree that it's a big piece of the town's budget, but proportionally, it's also a big star in the town of Simsbury. And so, you know, I remember a conversation I had with Tom T, you know, about the idea of, you know, we're losing money at the memorial pool, and what are we going to do with the pool and the splash pad, and the estimation to put a pool there was over $2 million. By the time we do it, if we do it, it'd be more, and all of that. But I give that as an example because, you know, all things being equal, I think coming in from a management perspective, I would have closed that pool and saved roughly $100,000. But we didn't have enough time to engage with the public, engage with this board. It wasn't a unilateral decision I could make and put in the budget and dump it on your desk. But I do want you to know that we are looking at the library. We believe that our department head and our staff at the library are the best of our town employees, and we, with you, support the library. So the key is, do we go in with some cuts that may harm things, or do we take one more budget cycle to really get to the
And I agree. I served on the library board. I love our
I know you
library, and I do believe it's a start. I just think it can continue to be one if we're thoughtful about it, and really take a look at what is really working, what do the residents love, and what are things that maybe we just don't need.
And I don't disagree. In fact, I'd say I'd change that. I totally agree. What I would respectfully suggest, however, is that we engage with the library board in that effort, and maybe as part of this budget process, the Board of Selectmen says, we're going to leave that budget alone for this year, but be advised. And then you're charging staff and me particularly to look at it, and I commit to you that we will. But also, let's get the engagement of our board, that's in there, knows the library, and the friends of the library that themselves raise money for the library, so that we're not making those cut decisions that could have adverse impact. That's all I'm saying. Now, if we need to get to a number, I know the library is a big part of the budget, so I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just trying to convey that I think the better process would be to, each year, we try to take a look at more in depth in certain things. The first year was HR. This year, what we looked at was conferences and out-of-state travel, and we made some cuts there. And next year would be the library and DPW from a zero-based budgeting perspective. Not to say you can't cut, please do, but...
Well, I was going to ask. So I know we added, about 19, was it 19,000 that we did for part-time to make up for...
well, we had under-budgeted for, and I full disclosure, totally my fault. I think we should have caught it in my early budget, my first budget, but we had a shortfall in part-time hours, and we had to come to the board for additional monies.
So is that spread across all library departments?
No, it's the adult services.
Just adult
department.
services.
And the reason that number has gone up is because we hadn't increased that. When we budget for those part-time adult service librarians, we budget for a certain number of hours per year. And we had not increased the dollar value since I've been here. So that's almost 12 years.
It was really a mistake.
Yeah, and it was
just an error.
Okay.
The reason we needed an additional funds this year was an error, right?
Okay.
But the reason that we need the increase is because those part-time adult service librarians are now receiving GWIs, and they never had before. So that's cutting into the number of hours that we can budget them.
They didn't have, what do you mean they didn't have GWIs before?
They didn't have GWIs before. Not until
unaffiliated positions.
they're unaffiliated.
So they got no increases?
Correct. And they were way below market
Until
value
last year.
until they started getting them.
Okay.
And that's just for a basic level of service to staff the information desk.
So I'm just looking at library admin as just an example, part-time hours, right? That last year's budget was 175. This year's budget is 175. The part-time estimate as of year end is 55. So all of that is due to wage increases, or
Which one are you on?
I'm looking at library admin part-time.
Okay.
That's not the adult
The year-to-date
services
is
librarian. You need to be an adult, young adult, if you're looking for those adult service
Yeah, but I still was asking just why that part-time hour increase there while I'm on that
Admin?
page. Yeah.
I see.
Well, there's a
zero.
minimum wage increase in that admin line for the part-time staff. That's a huge amount of minimum wage people. There are more of them in the admin department than any other department in the library. So that's
Right.
where you're going to see your minimum wage impact.
Okay, well, my question was, why is the actual for 20 and through 24 55,000?
That's the year-to-date one.
Yeah, that's
Right, year to date. So if I double that, right, I'm at 110. So you're saying it went up by 64,000 due to wage increases, the part-time hours? Does that make sense to anyone, what I'm asking?
No, it doesn't. It's also 17.3% over fiscal year 24, and that's too much for a 24-month span. to go up 17.3% over 2 years.
Right, it's flat funded based on
This
what we adopted
median
last year,
of
but
over 8% per
Right.
year.
So that's all. That's all. I'm just trying to rectify the numbers here. We didn't hire any new staff.
No, we didn't increase the headcount.
Right. So is that due to that much in increases from the right 110
Bueller,
to?
anyone?
I'm asking 110 to 175, or even if I go 120 to 175, that's a $50,000
Even if you
increase in
go
part time.
149 to 175, it's a 17.3%
Well,
increase.
it's not related entirely to GWIs, there's no question.
Well,
about
that's what I'm
that.
asking. What's it?
So I'll answer that in the negative, but that doesn't really answer the question as to what is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
that's the question.
Hold on, no, I missed that. I am so sorry. Could you repeat that, please?
You're correct, it can't be attributable to solely to
Just.
GWIs.
But we said we didn't hire anyone else, so we're
Right.
running out of options of
Right,
where the money's going.
right.
So that's the question.
Okay, so that's
That's why I said that only answers part of the question.
okay. So should we cut it then? Because that's the only option if nobody's going to give some supporting documentation.
Can you give us a moment?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to go out in
Anybody
the
want
hall?
a candy?
No. I just want to make sure I'm
Yeah.
going to defer to the finance director to walk you through this. Thanks for the extra time.
Of course.
Okay, so it looks like in fiscal year 23, we had budgeted about 150, and we overspent by 10,000 at 164. So going into fiscal year 24, we budgeted 168. It looks like we came in under budget about 20,000. So if we take our fiscal year 24 actuals and we increase a little bit for wage increases, we're comfortable if you wanted to cut about $14,000 off of that number.
Okay, we'll do it.
It's down to 160.
160.
So are we counting 14 or 14,614?
We're going to 160
14,000 even.
with no small change.
See, you guys are saying two different things, though, just so you follow.
It's 160.
Yeah, flat one.
You're saying it's a flat 160. She's saying yes. Okay.
So we're doing 14,614.
Correct, thank you.
Thank you.
To add to the list of additions.
That's what we're taking out.
Yes.
I do. Are we back in session? Is Lisa here?
Yes.
Yes.
It might be naivety, but what is Innovators Workshop Supplemental?
Innovators Workshop is our makerspace.
Right. Why did it go up? I guess is my question. It's under library administration, if that helps. And our actual in 24 was $1,700. I know we're talking chump change, but I'm a nickel and dimer.
Well, I mean,
And it's up to 2,700. So as far as percentages, it's significant.
and I'm going to unfortunately tell you something you've already heard. The cost of things go up, and this covers supplies for the makerspace, like filament,
But this is almost double.
and things go up. It's not just the filament; it's sewing machine maintenance, maintenance contracts for our 3D printers, filters for the laser etcher.
I'm okay if we can go make something on the 3D printer.
Yeah, I'm not going to belabor it. I just don't understand the increase of that caliber.
Or like 2,080 trending toward 2,080 for year end right now. So you'd only be cutting maybe a couple hundred if anything to stay reasonable. But then
Yeah, I see that.
year over year increases for next year. It seems appropriately budgeted.
Okay. Like I said, it's nickels and dimes.
We'll go make a fusilli Wendy at the 3D maker.
I want to make something. We talked about reference materials last time, I believe.
We did.
Yep.
The custodial services, that's the same as
yeah.
last year's budget, but before that there was no, we just break
That
it
we
out.
use to pay for things that the custodians can't do in-house. It's often used for window cleaning. It has also been used for upholstery cleaning, which after COVID we want to keep up with. We didn't do it last year. Custodians wanted to do it in-house.
So why won't we do it why wouldn't we do it in-house?
If they don't have
Can you not do that, Tom?
time to do it.
It's just a resource thing.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
we have time, like I was very glad to be able to help out last year and save
Right.
them money. Unfortunately, right now, the custodial department is small, and one of our employees is on a long-term workers' comp issue, which is really made some challenges for us.
Okay.
And facilities maintenance in that library buildings and grounds, same.
We already
cut it.
that one already.
All right.
We cut it because I have it in pink. In the document. You can see it. If not, ask Kevin to read it to you. Library facilities
Library
maintenance cut
facility cut
$3,000.
$3,000 out of that.
Right.
We did that last time.
Okay. Okay, other questions?
I had a question for the highway labor. The increase in laundry service. It's like
We
15% almost.
increased one employee, so that was a portion of that.
Okay, anybody else have anything from these departments that we've talked about? No. Okay, let's move to the police department. Okay. I would like to propose lowering the OT to some extent, given the amount of increase that's there. And I know we've heard from you guys before, but I'm not looking for a drastic cut, but I just think it would be realistic. And if there's interdepartmental savings, you should be able to cover that within the department. Is that true?
If there is savings, yes.
But have there been have you guys had savings over the last few years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, I guess, keep in mind, the overtime was $474 last year. And this year, we're hoping that would be less, so we had budgeted for less, we're anticipating now more.
Okay.
And the same thing with next year. So, I think sometimes there is a relation there between the savings, not having officers and the overtime.
Yeah.
But we could find ourselves in a different situation next year. We are well on our way to being fully staffed for the first time in a while.
Okay.
Which would be great.
Yep.
One of the only problems is we still have 5 people that have been out on extended leave. So there are 5 bodies that can't be used for that. So if we're able to get to the full staff, that's going to be great for all of us.
Okay.
We'll still have that battle.
Would it be reasonable to just cut 5,000 out of the overtime for PD just to add to the savings to the public?
Looking at where they are year to date, if you double that, they're over budget. Like, that's coming in at $478,650.
We did just put 2 more on the road in the
Right.
last month and a half. We expect 1 more within the next couple of weeks, so that could relieve a little bit of that overtime. A lot of these categories are all risk,
Yeah.
and they're prediction. So, we have a great year for the town next year in the sense of very few major incidences, no tragedies. We'll be closer to that $5,000 less. Things just do happen, and they're only predictable to the sense of this is what happens year to year. We'll work in whatever we can.
So to turn it around, we got to find savings, Nick. Do you have a suggestion of a line?
Because I have other questions. We can go through those.
And we went through rounds and rounds of this. What you're seeing,
we're on another round now.
Yeah, well, even before it got here, though, and I understand that, but what you haven't necessarily seen is all the cuts that we have done and the zero base that we've done for at least the last 12 years. That's how we look at our budget every single year. So, there's some areas there that we've cut already that really I'm not that comfortable with, but I know that we need to take a risk on those things. So we're there. We're there right now. Again, it's with the vehicles. As you can see, a lot of our areas, a lot of our categories.
So I want to ask a stupid question because I'm sure I've asked you and you've already answered. But what is training? That's a new line item.
Everybody got a new training item.
It used to be conferences.
Right.
And
Okay, now I understand. Yeah, certifications. Got it. I did,
was
but
depending on you to remember.
the verbiage.
Well, so I guess I would, I mean, I'd like to find some savings in the PD, right? And I don't want to risk providing the safety to our residents. So one proposal is take 5 out of OT. Because I would I can start going through some line items and ask questions, and do it that way, I guess is the question. So if you want to go through line by line, we could ask about some of these too.
It's completely however you want to do that. I can tell you this: if you take $5,000 off of the overtime, it's not going to impact our public safety.
Okay.
We're still going.
I knew we would.
We're still going to end up doing what we need to do. We just may come back to this board and say
We need more money.
we are over.
What is the dispatch overtime? I know that
That's a different one.
Yeah.
that went down, yeah.
So we had anticipated potential absence this year.
Ah,
In fact,
okay.
We've had 2 of those.
And if I can, and Chief, I think just a couple things. So PD was one of the 3 or 4 departments that got that memo from me to cut another 5%
Okay.
as phase 2, which I think there was some raising of eyebrows that I would include public safety in that ask for additional cuts. And I think the Chief can correct me, but I know that he came back immediately with another 16,000 in cuts as one of the last things that we did to get the town manager proposal. So in fairness, I know PD did it. With that said, I think we'd be okay with the 5,000. I know we need to tighten our belts. I'm probably more comfortable with this than the Chief is, because I think that there's some support in our collective bargaining agreement for my reasoning here that I don't want to get into in public session, but I'll go ahead and cut the 5,000, and with the proviso that the Chief and I might have to be back if we've got this wrong. But I do understand the pressure that this board is under, and I want to thank the police chief and PD for the cuts that they made.
And we thank you too.
Thank you very much.
And I do want to just say, it's not easy for us to sit here and question all of you about making cuts and, revising the numbers and looking like we're nickel and diming. Because we're really doing this for the benefit of the public. We really love our staff here. I have to just say it. I think we all agree that, and I feel like we have a really good collaborative group across all departments right now. So none of this is personal. It's very hard to ask for these cuts sitting up here. I just have to say that. It's very hard for all of us. So we appreciate the efforts here. It's good for our residents to show that we're doing due diligence to try to lower their taxes in what's a tough year with a little grand list growth. And hopefully next year the grand list will go up and things will be better, and maybe the economy will get better. I'm not so sure about that, but just working towards that.
So the manager's comments notwithstanding, I would rather see us find the savings in contractual services or legal in the labor relations, for instance. I think is a prime target for us. You want to find 5,000? I think it's pretty easy to find it from there. Like the chief said, if they get a call, they got to go out. So the town manager's okay with the 5,000 cut, so I'm okay there. But I think the chief presented a budget that is probably reasonably estimated. And it's not as though they're, I don't think they're overestimating necessarily that overtime line. So I have concerns, in other words, that we're just going to come back to the table anyway. And the taxpayers have enough flexibility in this budget, I think, to cover what are government essential service, and that's law enforcement. I don't think we need the extra funding in labor relations, for instance. I think we could short that and ask a little bit more of a.
We already took that out, the labor relations.
I understand. I'm just saying. I think we can come up more. That's all.
Well, I'm still in favor of the 5. If you want, I could take it out of some line items, but it sounds like it's all going to be within the department if the need is there, that we could use what's in that department. Like I'm saying, we want to go through some of these line items.
Well, like what is contractual services? Can you just explain why that's up 10,000? So.
Yeah, so that was the 10,000 was for the promotional process.
Got it.
Right, we did that.
Sort of went through that a little bit in the last one. So,
yeah.
That's one of the potential 2 promotional processes that we will what you're saying is 5,000 is coming from the budget regardless of where it's
Yeah.
coming from. That would be the place to take
Okay.
it from, because all those other categories are for services or for warranties, for things like that, for products that are not without. This is a different category where if we have to go,
Yep. Okay.
How about technical and program supplies? That one, in 2024, it was 35,000, and it went up to 40,000.
And that was actually, I believe, the year before that.
Oh, year before that.
Much higher than that.
Where's the
Yeah,
that's the one that, as soon as it comes up for here.
Okay.
So it's a huge category. One of the driving factors of that is ammunition.
Okay.
The cost of ammunition over the last years has grown significantly over, just like many of the other products that my colleagues have in their budgets. But ammunition in particular has skyrocketed. It's been very difficult, one, to get it, and two, the cost. So we were able to go down in some areas there in the past because of our move to a different style, less lethal taser, which was built into a different type of spending, where we didn't have to have it year after year. Products we were able to buy like it's a training kit. Thank you. It's a training kit that can be reused. So we were able to find some savings there, but that's pretty much the large category in here. But there's community relations programs in here, like our Citizens Academies. There's related equipment. There's training equipment and supplies. There's 2 pages of line items in here that fall into that.
Under that okay.
Okay. So I guess if we're not all in favor, I'm just going to ask. I'd like to make a motion, or if I need to accept the. Are you debating the 5K?
What's your motion, Chair?
I was going to ask to just reduce the overtime by 5K.
It's already on there.
Why are you going to? For police?
It's on there. The bottom line.
All right. I didn't know
wait.
if everybody agreed.
I thought, but I just want to make sure because Chief Bolter had said if you're going to take the 5, he'd rather take it out of the contractual services than the overtime.
No, he did not.
Oh, take it out of overtime. Okay, I want to make sure.
We have
You have to. Fair. I want to make sure. Okay, thank you.
I think we're there.
We're
Thank
there.
you,
Okay,
Nick.
I didn't see it up there. I didn't know we were actually.
No objections, Chair.
Okay, great. So we're there. Anybody else have any other items?
At all?
No, in
police?
in expenditures. Or yeah, I think we're done with the police.
Yes, I am.
We're done with the police. So is there any other? So let's see where we are. How's that? Take a pulse.
Budget increase of 3.06 and mill rate increase of 3.19.
But that's not counting the
Building permit?
revenues, the motor vehicle and the.
Not the new legislation.
Yeah, so I'd like to look.
Present day.
So present day. Let's see the maybe day. It includes the. Because I'm hoping, knock wood, that happens.
So you increase the revenues by $50,000 and then decrease 54,062.
So under the new legislation, we're at 2.36.
And what's our budget percentage? Are we under 3?
You're still at 3.06.
Didn't we take? And that includes the permits.
Because that's
the budget, no.
Pardon me?
That's the expenditure budget. The permits are under the revenue.
Oh, I thought we got credit for that.
No. Net expenditure is 2.86. See
Okay.
it, right?
Yeah, but that includes the town, the Board of Ed. Yeah, I was hoping we were under there. Can I just ask, what's the total we've taken out tonight and the total we've added in tonight?
You've cut $54,062 and you've added $50,000 in revenue.
Just tonight.
So, tonight, I know.
But can you give us a number for what they also cut in the last board meeting?
Sure.
70-something
So
thousand?
the total is
550. 127,612. 127,612 is what we cut.
The
So-
revenue that was added, I think, was was 52,000. You guys cut 127,612.
Yep.
So,
What would it take to get us below another 0.06 down? Percentage change,
Percent.
monetized.
to get under 3, is what you're saying?
Pretty much.
At 3.
Pardon me?
We're at
You were saying at 3 versus us.
So at that point, we'll go to 2.999.
Yeah. It looks better, but.
It's that last hundredth of a cent.
I'll find it.
To get to like 295, you need 30,000.
So if we move that vehicle to CNR, there we go. I know I'm not supposed to, it's a
No
cliff.
objections.
Well, we're still spending some
Why?
money, so.
Right.
It's
20,000 to get to 299.
Why is it a cliff with that vehicle?
It'll create an issue for PD next year, but we'll deal with it.
We already have 54,000 built into the fiscal year 25 budget, so we were reallocating that for
Yeah.
the building department vehicle, and we had already reduced it to 44. You guys cut it to 30. If it goes away altogether, that's a $54,000 hole.
But if you reinstate the higher amount and move it to CNR, I think that'd be,
Well, can I just propose an alternative, and we can just go back and revisit? There were some IT numbers that I thought we moved some IT equipment from CNR to operating. If we didn't do that this year and waited till next year, would that get us there?
I think you're referring to the 10,000, is that?
No, we already moved that. I'm looking at the IT. Something got moved from CNR to operating this year, and what I was going to suggest is if we moved it back to CNR for this year, maybe that would be enough.
Computer replacement.
Oh, wait, let me look at the
The,
CNR.
The technical.
No objection, Chair.
Well, what is? Yeah, I don't know what
It's 30,000.
it is. So if we do that, does that?
Just to clarify, when you say move these.
You're increasing CNR though,
But I think
And funded through how, CNR?
cash
the,
reserves.
Reserves, and we haven't seen where we are in reserves yet. But I think we're in good shape with reserves.
Well, just for the record, the town manager proposed, we were well under on CIP and we were well under with respect to the use of reserves. And we were okay, not where we needed to be on operating. So 2 out of the 3 were home runs. That leaves some room on cash reserves. But I defer to the board.
Yeah. Let's get to CNR then and see where we are. I think we're under. We're not overusing reserves, as far as I know from where we
And our thanks to
prioritize.
PD on the switch and the reallocation of that vehicle, because the vehicle was essentially planned, and we're just moving it over to building.
Well, if we, I was saying not do that third vehicle to CNR and do this IT thing to CNR.
Does that still get them where they need to be, Amy?
Yeah, that's what
Okay. Yep.
I mean, if that's safer, is what I'm asking you guys. Just because it said it was moved this year,
I don't think I have a preference.
I'll ask what the preference is. I mean, I know it's not ideal.
Melissa has some.
Over time, we're hoping to move these recurrent items out of CNR into the operating budget.
But if
that was the one that we were going to start with, but it's.
And again, just on that point, we really tried to move just a few things. It wasn't so much the amount or what they were, but just to make the point that now is the time, even though there's no groundless growth. When you have groundless growth, let's move more of it, because
Agreed.
CNR it's just not working.
That being said, if now's not the time, maybe next year's the time.
Yeah.
But now's not the time.
And then so let's do that. And if it's better to do the IT hardware, leave it there. Stick the vehicles so we don't mess around with that. And then we should be at the where we are.
Well, I don't know, because Eric was out of the room and we forgot to.
It's not his.
I'm just kidding.
That's
That we haven't affected human resources at all. Let's go down line by line.
Look,
some human relief.
We're making
Relax.
good time here.
I think we made it great.
So 30 from the IT equipment will go back to CNR for 26.
Very good.
Revisit it next year
Please
when we
do.
have better groundless growth, and then we'll be good. And Okay, all right, so now we should be pretty much where we want to be.
I agree. I concur.
And then we can move to see where we are.
You're
Okay,
at
good.
294 for budget increase and 3.16 for mill rate increase.
Okay. You've done a good job, and I think that's pretty good. Agreed? Dennis? Good?
It's under 3.
That's what our target was, and we'll see what the Board of Finance says when they get the budget, which will be in a week from tomorrow. So we'll be prepared.
So today we say we cut $84.62.
Prepared to speak to that then.
The one's technically a transfer, but
Yeah. It didn't.
But it's off of operating.
So, let's transition. Are we all set with expenditures here and revenue? Okay. Okay. Where would you guys prefer? I don't mean to be disrespectful by you guys, but prefer to start at CNR and then see where we are with CNR.
Sure, CNR's
Because we've done CNR.
I like CNR.
You do, yeah?
Well, we cut CIP so drastically, I think CNR.
There's not much to.
There's not much there.
Well, we could talk about the out years.
you're right, though. You are right.
All right, so let's move to so CNR, just to give people in the audience and in the TV land a heads up that some of us on the board did a rankings for CNR. So some of the items have already been ranked by us in conjunction with staff on priorities. And we've looked at this already once or twice, so it would be great to see. Amy, if you want to just tell us how much over the payback we're using right now out of reserves.
That is Melissa's specialty, and she can give you that.
Okay, Melissa.
Where's that?
So after you add back the 10,000 on emails from HR and the computer replacements.
Yep.
Our little reserve number is 896,590.
Okay, I think that's very respectable. And what is the balance in the reserve fund, and where else is it potentially going to be used this year? Is it going to be used anywhere else?
So we have.
I believe the 2 Farms Village Road purchase that was
The million.
up to $1 million.
Yep.
Yes, for the purchase of the property.
Yeah, so we have 4.6 million as unassigned, and then if you give me that. We are down to 3.7 million in unassigned after the CNR that's being proposed, and then $1 million for Farms Village. You're down to 2.7 million.
And Chair, if I could, I know
Yep.
you and I just discussed this, but just for the benefit of your colleagues and those watching at home. Because of the tight budget cycle this year and the ZBB applied to several departments, we do not anticipate a $5.9 million surplus next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as we did, I think I showed the board in my initial presentation back on February 10th, that at the very least, we've reset the expectation to about 2.4, 2.5. And it should be lower than that as well. We're not getting any breaks on the revenue side, right? So for that reason, I know you'd be surprised to hear me say this, but I would caution not to use the cash reserves, at least until we know what the CNR, what's going to happen with CNR moving forward.
Yeah.
Those surpluses are going to go away, I think, and that's as it should be.
I hear you. So I don't really have many changes, if any, to CNR. The only thing that I had mentioned at one point was we talked about the Eno reglazing, right, and the roof repairs, and that kind of transitions to the CIP discussion. So
Can we put up that one that has like the colored lines on it?
Yeah, Melissa.
the debt service line?
No.
Yes.
Oh, but we already, everything's
down.
in here. Everything that's in here was on that list, above the green line, correct, Mark?
Correct.
Correct.
Thanks. Oh, Melissa? Above the green line, correct?
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
So we pretty much approved most of these. I mean, and we went through them with Mark. And if we're at the number that we're at, I'm not gonna, right? I don't really have any concerns. Like I said, the only two that I was gonna bring up in conjunction with CIP were the two Eno things to see if the Eno roof needed to be done sooner to move up to 26 because there's room in the bonding, maybe. I'm not gonna confirm that until Amy says something, but.
I could just ask Melissa, Chair, was there an insurance issue I think you mentioned about the roof?
Oh, yeah, the Eno roof, so we put 30, in the CNR, there's 35,000
Yeah.
for, just repairs and anything that pops up. We had the full replacement, in out year, I think we were showing it in year 5 on the CIP for something.
Yep, 28. Yep.
We bumped it up in the revised recommended CIP that we sent out.
Yep.
We bumped it up a couple of years. We have had a couple of property claims due to the roof leaking and having some issues. So, after I filed our last claim, the adjuster said, just so you know, underwriting might come back and ask questions about this roof at your renewal. So we wanted to kind of flag that and put it up on the plan. Just with that in mind.
So what I would like to ask of you is would it make sense, since we have a little buffer, if I look at the guidance from the Board of Finance for the 5.5, let's say 5.555, Mark was good enough to come in under this year. And I don't know what this does to debt service, but if you move the Eno roof to the 26 budget, took out those two Eno things, because we won't, at least the roof and the windows we had talked about. Well, I guess if we're doing the roof, we could do the windows.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, you could. I forgot you're here, Tom. Well, you know what? We haven't grilled you, so here you go.
I don't know. Steve, turned on the oven, but I guess it wasn't. I got the deal of the day. We have the 85,000 in there for the window.
Yeah.
That would be money better spent to do that when we do the large HVAC renovation work at Eno.
And when is that again?
That's looking like it's 2 years out. Originally, we had hoped to do that this coming year. We postponed it based upon just being fiscally responsible. We've actually designed the work and we're ready to go. But we're going to have to shut down the building most likely for a couple months, and there's a lot going on, and it would make more sense to do the building then. And our facility staff would much rather take that 85,000 if they can and apply it to doing quality temporary repairs on the 3 roofs that we have issues with. So it'd be the library, Eno, and town hall, and that would buy us the time we need to figure out exactly what we need in terms of the roof replacements.
Okay. So you're saying say it in a way that what that you'll keep that 85, but it will be a different CNR item.
I would take the 85,000 that was allocated for windows and apply it to roofs at the 3 buildings, and they would be quality temporary repairs.
And then you're saying then we wouldn't need to move up the Eno roof.
It could stay out 2 years comfortably
to 28,
and it would give us time to do a full in-depth review. And it's complicated because each building has multiple roofs. And that's why it can I remember replacing the roof in Eno. Well, that was the roof over the DAR room. That was not the roof in the back corner of the building. So I think we could put a comprehensive plan together next year, do the temporary repairs. As we do those, we could come up with a better long-term solution.
And would that take out the 30,000 CNR, 35,000 for the roof repairs?
That 30,000, I'll give it back. My guys feel very comfortable that for 85,000 we can make good temporary repairs that will last us at least 2 to 3 years.
So do 3 buildings for 85,000 and take out the 35,000 that's on Eno roof repairs. That's what I'm hearing.
And then that kind
And
of
then
covers one of the things.
No windows, no reglaze?
And the windows will get pushed to when we do the HVAC improvements.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds like 2 buildings for 50,000. I'm sorry. I won't stir it.
Don't stir it. Okay. Okay. Any other things for CNR? Like,
Did you do that? Is that a done?
Well, we're taking Tom's word for it, if that sounds like a
No, I know,
good.
but are you asking?
What's the third building? I heard
This
library and
Eno,
Eno, Town Hall.
Town hall. Thank you.
This building,
I'm gonna, can we take out 30, so you save 30 in your reserves? Was it
35.
reserves or under the line? And both were out of reserves, none were in the payback.
Yeah.
So we don't have to mess around with the payback. Those stay aligned to that. I've looked at CNR since whenever we got it back in October.
So if we're removing that 35 for the roof replacement, so then that transfer that we made from operating over keeps it the same, right? Because that was going to go to reserves.
Except for 10, another 10 that I'm for the
Oh, the other 10.
HR. But
Yeah.
that's right. So
Is there
we're.
anything anybody wants to put into C?
I don't see all the other. Oh, we don't
That's below the green line.
below the green line. We made some educated decisions on what was being in there. I don't have to look at my sheet because I don't think we have to spend more if we don't need to.
no. Maybe
Right?
next year when we have a better grant.
Let me ask a question. Can I transition to CIP?
Of course, Chair.
So here's a question. Where is my
There it
CIP?
is.
That's what I want to know. It's like you're asking for.
Anything under the green line, Diane?
What?
Anything under the green line?
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Like, is there anything we want to
I
add
think
under
we
the
should
green
add
line?
any
Put
more.
anything in. Like the memorial softball field backstop is something I know that be a nice thing to knock off that list.
Yeah, maybe next year. Sorry.
There won't be as much next year though, Steve. I mean, you're not gonna have
What do you mean?
you're not gonna have the money that's funding cash reserves.
I understand that.
You might not get it. I see what you're saying. Sometimes I look at it your way, sometimes I look at it. If you don't do it now, you'll never be able to do it because I can see.
We're
the
not going to
future.
have it. Yeah.
Imagine if you as a board were faced with the flower bridge this year.
Yeah.
Or the PAC this year, right? So every budget cycle that I've done for 25 years, I also try to just take a minute before we adopt it and say, is there anything I want to get in here that I might have a better chance of getting in this year? As bad as the year is, because I know I'll never get it in next year. That's what we did with a couple of things.
And this list is old, correct? Because I see things on there that we've
Yeah, we made some
removed
changes.
and- Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
We were just trying to show the board that some of the things that definitely didn't make it in.
Can I ask
Right,
you?
okay, but there are things on here that are not in, and I just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this hasn't been updated since Mark presented it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's not the real list.
Okay.
One thing I would just say, the memorial softball field backstop, because we did the Terrafil backstop and we did the Weetag Park back. Is this the only one that's left undone?
Yes.
Yeah.
That field's used by the high school.
Yeah, so I would like to, because I know that whether they use it or not, all the townwide co-ed leagues and everything were really happy to have those fixed.
Oh, with Terrafil and Weetag,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, it's made a difference on balls going in the parking lot or balls going into the road.
And would this one make a big difference?
This one's actually as old as the others. It's in rough shape. It doesn't have the dome over the plate, so balls do come back at the building, the pool, people standing behind. It
Okay.
really shouldn't be like that. I mean, that's why we have it on the list to repair. But that field is getting more use now between the Little League softball and the high school.
Okay, I mean, I would be okay with that.
I'm still, that's
Okay.
up by the pool. I think we look at the pool as a whole. I mean, isn't that the softball field, the one that abuts Memorial Pool?
It is, but it has nothing to do with the pool, though.
It's not going to be in
Well, I'm not going to
front
fight
of
hard, so do what you
Okay,
guys want.
so-
I just think it has the biggest impact
To a lot of people.
To a lot of people for
And
And
parks-
why leave that the only one upgrade, not upgrade it?
That's why I wanted to.
It's not so much as an upgrade as it's
A repair.
an old fence that needs,
Yeah.
Okay, so let's tentatively add that in, but I want to move to CIP.
Thank you,
I
Chair.
want to ask a question on CIP. Because, and I don't want to use all our reserves, but I'm going to ask you this question, and it could come up, I don't know, is so we only have 2 items that were added to CIP from last year, which we have to vote to approve to include in this when we get to all that, right? And that's the Eno entrance supplemental. Do you want to, who is that, you, Tom?
please.
Could you just explain I'm not going to go pull up the background information. Could you explain the importance of us including that?
Sure. For a number of years, we've been looking at making significant improvements to the entrances to Eno. Everybody sees Eno from Hot Meadow Street, and pretty clear where the front entrance is. It's not ADA accessible.
Okay.
95% of the people who enter the building enter it from the rear north side, and as you do, you feel like you were going down into the basement. When in fact, we're going to say, Kristen, be here with me, you're going into the lower level.
The ground level, the lower level, yes.
So we worked years ago with an architectural firm to come up with the concept of widening out the sidewalks so they'd be roughly 10 feet, 12 feet wide. The slope would start all the way back at the parking lot. So it's going to be a gradual walk down. So you're going to feel like you're going into the lower level. It's going to be ADA accessible, and we're going to do that on both sides of the building. We just went out to bid. It came back very high. Everything has just, in the last 4 years, you can't put cost estimates to it. We're working on adjusting the number. We're probably going to go back out to bid, but right now we only have funding to get one side down, the south side, which still doesn't make that north side acceptable. This past year, we actually, the Public Works knocked down the brick wall because it was collapsing. We came up with a temporary fix, but again, I think it's a historic building. It's important to the community. It should have a sense of place, and this is a real important project to make that happen.
Okay.
Because it's historic, are there any grant opportunities?
Well, we've looked for grants on that one, and it's also a challenge in terms of time. We're hoping to key this in with Station Street, the new parking lot that's all kind of tied together. But we have not had any luck finding any grants for this type of work right now.
Tom, I have a question.
Never say never.
The temporary ramp that was out front when the elevator project was being done.
Yep.
What was the cost of that? Like, because I know I've actually had people say, I wish that was there all the time. Like, because again, they want to be able to use the front entrance. Because the back entrance, especially people that are mobility challenged and getting wheelchairs down that ramp is frightening and not often easy. Like, people can't make it.
And again, it's having been here a while and having seen things at Eno, when our medical services are called to that building, it is a tough building to get the stretcher in at that entrance. When, and everybody loves to hit the button, it breaks, should we have that building open? Is it really fair to say we have an inaccessible building while we're fixing that? So having two entrances is key to me. The front ramp was expensive. It was not astronomically so. We would have a challenge if that was going to be there permanently. We'd probably have to work through SHPO to make sure they wouldn't have an issue with it. Perhaps the answer is, could we come up with a ramp? It could come around the side. Is there a way so that they could still have the grand look of the building? And I'd say, like all things, it's a balance. We want the building to look appropriate and historic, but at the same time, we want it accessible for everybody.
Right.
Okay. So, one question I have, now that I'm eating popcorn, for 26, and I may leave this to our friends on the Board of Finance, is the $400,000 for the two Farms Village. Right now, we're saying we're bonding for it because we have room to bond for it. I was thinking about that, and I know we've talked a few times about the program. We've all moved the program forward. We agree with the program, but there's always that back talk that if the program doesn't work, we could sell the building or we could do something else. So my question is do we want to bond for 10 years on something that may have a little bit of risk associated with it? It's just a question.
I don't have an answer for that. Like you, Chair, I defer to the Board of Finance.
So leave it in, and if they...
Well, unless Amy has any
Yeah,
comments
Amy,
on
what do you
it.
think?
No, I assume the Board of Finance will be looking at the purchase overall in our bonding anyway, so.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anybody have any, so what I will say so thank you for doing the funding sources. We've moved a lot to unfunded, which we did last year because we didn't really know how we were gonna fund them. And that just leaves a big laundry list of items that we'll have to interject in next year or other out years. What was I gonna say? So right now, the bonding amounts, I have them here. If we look at I think we talked that we look at 25, 26 as the 10, 27, 28 as the 10. Is that true?
26 and 27 go together.
Oh, they do? So 25 was just on its own?
No, 25 goes to 24.
Oh. Oh, we started this in 24. I don't remember. I thought we.
This is
Okay.
based on how we bond.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so 26, 27 go together. So our bonding total, okay, so we're pretty close there, right? 27, about 8,500. All right. But we do have to approve with this, when we approve this budget, what's in the fiscal year 27 year, because that will become our current year next year. So I'm just putting that out there to everybody. We still have questions on the memorial pool redesign. Have we done the study yet? Like, where is it?
Starting.
You're starting that?
Started, yeah.
Okay. And will that, we'll have an idea before, okay. And then we'll vote to approve it next year if we want to move forward once we have the study results.
Yeah, you'll have it during the summer.
Okay, interesting, okay. Don't really have any, I personally don't really have a lot of, go
No, we're
ahead.
doing CIP, right?
Yeah, we are.
So the Curtis Park
Yeah.
parking improvements, didn't we get a proposal from Simsbury Soccer that might directly impact that line item?
Yes.
And how do we address that? I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about that when they came, because we're not gonna,
Yeah, so you don't have an approved they don't have an approved project yet. We're working through through an MOU, like as requested by the board. Before that goes any further, then that project still has to go through the permitting process, and you know, if you want to take it out, you can take it out, but it might come back again. I left it in because we did pay a significant amount of money for a parking study between that and Simsbury Meadows. They were the same engineer, same project. We spent money on it. We have a design that if everything stayed the same, we have a cost estimate in dollars. What, 2 years ago, Tom? About. Oh, that was when Jeff Shea was here. I'm sorry.
That was several years ago, but
Yeah. So that's why I've chosen to leave it in, because it was so far out in the out years. I didn't feel it was prudent to take it out.
Never mind.
yeah, I was gonna ask that too, but it
Thank
is
you.
unfunded. Because I would ask too, when we get back to seeing what else we could do, the Simsbury High School sports field for $2 million. I don't really know what that is. And if the town would have that appetite for $2 million for a sports field improvement at the high school. But it's unfunded, so it's not included in our budget right now. It is out there, and as Mark has said, we did align to the Board of Finance guidance, so we do the 5, 5, and 5. And that this summer, we hope to get the group back together, the Finance Subcommittee, and I'm hoping that with a member of the Board of Finance and any other Board of Ed, maybe we could do the capital ranking as you've proposed. So coming in under, I'm just gonna tell you. Get it? I meant you time-wise, I'm looking at the clock.
No, I'm with you, Chair. You're coming under on the budget, so you're doing a good job.
I know, so anybody have any other questions on,
I would just say on to
Yeah.
Tom's point, not taking this out, we don't have the MOU yet, is
Yeah.
Tom's point, and it's a bit of a negotiation with them, so taking it out would signal that we're all in on that, and it's got to go through the town attorney, a number of issues.
okay, let me look at my grand list.
But if we do the parking lot, does it affect anything that we potentially do with the MOU?
Go ahead, Tom.
That parking study that we did would be changed by the work that they're proposing. It's because you're altering the layout of the park. The parking study was based on changing the existing dirt parking lot over there now to a paved lot. So that in their configuration that they showed you, that lot changes dramatically. That number wouldn't be the same. It might be part of their overall project. I think, in that MOU and negotiations going forward, I think there might be some interest from them, seeing as we were going to do a parking project anyways. Would the town be willing to contribute toward that part of the project? That I'm not asking on my behalf. I'm relaying some
Or might
conversations we had.
they contribute to us?
Correct. Yeah.
So it's
lack of clarity for me. I don't see any reason to proceed on this.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, I mean, we don't, so, couple things. I think so if nobody has any other CIP changes or discussion, I'm asking. And no other CNR item discussion, or anybody missing anything here?
I just want to thank Superintendent Curtis and his team at the BOE for working with us so diligently on keeping us well under this year on CIP. It wasn't an effort by us.
I have a question that may not, we talked about last meeting, I don't think it applies here, but we need to talk about what we do about the reappropriation related to the pickleball courts.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chair. I need some guidance from the board.
I don't know what we can do or where, so
I'd like to get Tom and staff with you and some of your colleagues to figure that out.
That's outside of this budget though, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking though, I just want to make sure that that's coming up, because it's $250,000. So let's see where we are. We do have some risks embedded in here, right? We have the motor vehicle risk, we have the exemption for veterans potential risk, and the permits not passing. Those are 3 risks that we have, right? So can we see just where we are with all of our changes, which we're gonna hope happen, because I think that's where we were under 3, right?
Yeah, you were at
2.
We don't think we've got a final decision from the fire district yet either, Chair.
What was the fire district again?
330,000. Check me on this. 230,000 to revenue created by the motor vehicle snafu with the state legislation that changed. Amy and I had a very good conversation. I can characterize it as a positive conversation, but there's no, to the best of my knowledge tonight, we don't have definitive. So I would just add that to the
list of maybes.
The list of maybes.
The risks.
When will we have clarity on these issues?
I believe they were bringing it to the fire district's board of directors, but I
don't know when that meeting is.
I'll get back to you on that.
In the state, I heard the vote. They were Lamont. It's passed. Lamont has to vote. I heard this week. Do you know anything about that, Lisa?
About which?
Well, the approval that the legislative bodies of a municipality can take the new depreciation amount for year 1.
I just saw that he vetoed the special education, but I haven't heard about the.
Yeah, that one. Okay, let's hope. And then the exemption changes for veterans. Those 2, we don't know, because those are hinging on some of our new revenue.
We're seeing the fire district board meeting is scheduled for March 10th on their website.
Well, that's kind of close, but okay.
As I said, that's why you want to have a plan B.
I guess the plan
I'd
B
be
is.
willing to assume it in our budget, and then if we need to adjust numbers, either hard adjust or just know that our increase is going to, or our rate of increase is going to change. That I'm comfortable with proceeding with what we know.
Are they meeting before our meeting on the 10th? Like, are they meeting during the day or at the same time?
We'll have to go back and check that. I don't know if the time is on there.
Okay.
It should be.
Yeah, I plan to bake this all into our budget because it's the best budget. And then again, the Board of Finance can take it out if it doesn't happen, and then if they need it to come back to us, they'll come back to us. But we made the best effort. I think that we could. So, yep. All right, so we're that's I think we're
That's all we had, Chair. Thank you.
okay. I think that's all we have. So now what? Do you gotta get us ready?
Melissa needs to print the motions for you.
Yeah.
guys.
Okay. Okay. So could we take a little 10-minute recess?
Is there anything that we need to consider with regard to the permit increases tonight?
No, because we can't do anything on the.
Warrant a hearing. I didn't.
Yeah, it'll be on the March 10th. We'll schedule the public hearing.
Okay.
And we'll also there was another thing we were doing on March 10th.
Right.
Oh, the resolution for the depreciation.
Right.
Those 2
Right.
have
We can't
to
vote
happen
on it tonight because
for
it's
the
part of
budget.
the agenda and it's a special meeting.
Okay. All right.
The auditor?
I will.
No, I trust Steve's mathematical mental ability. He's been very good.
I'm the one that's kept the tally of it all.
I love that we're making a motion to increase
I'll let you know right now.
Kevin keeps making a motion, but we're all ignoring him.
Here we are. All right, I'm gonna start reading.
Failed due to lack of a second.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yes.
I'm gonna try to get us out of here by 7:30. No, I can't. Okay, I'm gonna ask for a motion effective March 3rd, 2025 to approve the Board of Selectmen 25-26 operating budget in the amount of $29,737,084 to include the following changes from the town manager's proposed budget. Decrease general government gasoline for $5,000. Decrease general government contingency by $7,000. Increase the Board of First Selectmen stipend by $25,000. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. By $5,000 reallocated from general government. Decrease general government vehicle and move to building department by $14,000. Decrease human resource conferences and education by $20,000. Decrease legal labor relations by $5,000. Decrease Board of Selectmen public agency support by $15,750. Decrease Economic Development Commission public agency support by $7,500. Decrease Aging and Disability Commission special activities by $1,300. Decrease library buildings and ground facilities maintenance by $3,000. Decrease town manager seasonal by $4,000. Decrease general government furniture by $5,000. Decrease human resources computer software move to CNR by $10,100. Decrease parks maintenance seasonal by $15,348. Maintenance. I'm sorry. I was thinking the personnel. Decrease library administrative part-time by $14,614. Decrease police overtime by $5,000. Decrease information technology tech and program equipment to see but move to CNR. Just want to do right. Yep. Increase Memorial Hall rent by $2,000. Increase building department fees by $50,000, obviously dependent on our vote after the public hearing. So can I have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Only that the areas for the public agency support were previously discussed, which ones we were supporting, which ones we weren't.
Okay, as previously discussed. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passed unanimously. Move effective March 3rd, 2025 to approve the Water Pollution Control 2025-26 operating budget in the amount of $5,082,546, including Avon and Granby CWF share.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Move effective March 3rd, 25 to approve the Residential Property 2025 operating budget in the amount of $53,850.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Move effective March 3rd to approve the Simsbury Parks and Rec Fund operating budget in the amount of $2,858,270.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Move effective March 3rd, 2025 to approve the debt service 25-26 operating budget in the amount of $9,554,857.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Move effective March 3rd, 25 to approve the capital non-recurring plan for 25-26 in the amount of $2,593,407, including the $416 to be funded by the general fund via the 5-year payback method, $244,479 funded by the general fund, $1,130,578 to be funded by the capital reserve fund, $94,000 to be funded by the town aid road fund, $225,000 to be funded by the sewer use fund, $247,000 to Simsbury Farms fund balance, $55,000 from the golf equipment fund, $156,100 from grants, $25,000 from the golf facility fund, and that's that.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
Only that the first line, 416,250. I couldn't tell if you said the 250 or not. Just
I think I did.
That's fine.
So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Move effective March 3rd, 25 to add the following new project to the capital improvement plan for 25-26 in accordance with Charter Section 803B, Hall entrance improvement supplemental for $500,000 and 2 Farms Village renovations for $400,000.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Move effective March 3rd to approve this capital improvement program to include the following projects in 25-26 with total funding of $4,742,400. District paving in the amount of $600,000 for bonds. District security improvements for $250,000 for bonds. Hall entrance improvement supplemental, $500,000 bonded. 2 Farms Village renovations, $400,000 bonding. Terrifill connection, East Coast Greenway gap closure, $450,000 in grants and project savings. Sidewalk reconstruction of $223,400 bonded. Public Works truck replacement and plow, $258,000 in cash. Highway pavement management, $1.7 million bonds and grant. Installation of septage receiving station in the amount of $361,000 out of the sewer use fund.
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Quick question, when do we approve the bonding wording? Do we do that at another time? Okay, goody. Move effective March 3rd, 2025 to refer the following capital projects to the Planning Commission in accordance with CGS Section 8-24. District paving, district security improvements, Hall entrance improvements, supplemental 2 Farms Village renovations, Terrifill connection, East Coast Greenway gap closure, sidewalk reconstruction, Public Works truck replacement and plow, highway pavement management, and the installation of septage receiving station.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Problem with that septage.
Septage is a weird word. Okay, so is that it? Ask for a motion to adjourn? We done, Tom? Okay, anybody? Oh, Lisa.
Chair
I was
Hebner.
gonna say, are you going to adopt the new depreciation schedule?
Yeah,
At the March meeting.
but we include it in the budget though.
You do.
So we don't have to do anything with that, or is that what you were asking?
Yeah, that was my only question, just wanna make sure.
To approve that revenue?
Is that all right with you?
Yeah, of
Chair?
course.
Okay.
So we're basing it on those assumptions that revenue's included.
And if it, for some reason, isn't, the Board of Finance can take appropriate action.
Send it back to us if they have to. Please.
That's the depreciation schedule of motor vehicle and the fees will be on the 10th? Or are you gonna do those later?
The fees is just setting the public hearing for the building fees, and then it would be the following.
And then the 233 from the,
Well, no, from the fire district.
yeah, so those are there are 4 things outstanding, right? So I guess I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those
Welcome,
in favor
Holly.
say aye.
Aye.
For over 40 years, SCM has been the voice of our town,
Bringing us together through local programming,
education, and live broadcasts.
SEM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community,
ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings, and celebrating milestones
like our high school graduations.
But today, SEM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions, and it's no secret people have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SEM receives less revenue,
Even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open,
Continues to educate our youth.
And keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SEM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SCM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SCM isn't just here to broadcast local events. They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive
For generations to come.
Visit our website
Or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media.
where your town
Your schools
And your government come together.